Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega exchange heated words over Twitter. TNT Extreme Wrestling announced Extreme Fields, the first UK independent indoor rock and wrestling extravaganza. Francesco Akira has been announced for Wrestle Carnival's end of year show, Carnival Mania. Chris Brooks is set to challenge Konosuke Takeshita for the DDT Openweight Championship on the 29th of October. ICW Heavyweight Championship has been vacated. We've got new Progress Wrestling Tag Team Champions. And we're going to talk about the upcoming Rev Pro high stakes title matches for next week. Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is TNT, the Great British Wrestling podcast for Great British Wrestling, as featured on bodyslam.net. I am your host, the Great British Otaku, Mr. Andrew Moandi to most. And I am joined, as always, by the Pro Wrestling T-shirt champion of the world, Big Daddy Dan. Daniel Allen, how are we doing?
We are better than you are today, bless you. You are fighting through, and we are so happy to have you here. I'm great, though.
I'm not so great. I'm not at home, one. I'm not in my usual office space. I always never like not being in my usual space. But yes, I have been really under the weather recently. I'm not quite sure what's up. I think I've had a bit of a stomach flu. But just pushing through as we do, watching the wrestling as we do. Got loads of British news, wrestling news to get through. And of course, we got the Rev Pro review, as well as the Progress review, ICW review, and NXT UK review. How would you like to kick things off?
I'd like to kick things off, starting talking about the PWI Top 500, because we have a certain rather fantastic Englishman at far too low a position, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, actually, I can't remember where he actually did come in the end. Was he fourth? Or...
No, further down, seventh.
Seventh, terrible. Just not. So he had some choice words for the number one rated PWI, Mr. Kenny Omega, which, as you say, he came across and said it's okay because I could whoop number one any day of the week.
And twice on Tuesday.
Twice on a Tuesday.
I truly believe that when these two finally meet, it will be very special. I hope and pray it will be in the UK. I think there's a genuine possibility it will be. New Japan have come over to the UK before. AEW were looking before COVID at the Royal Albert Hall, I believe, was discussed. Mm-hmm. So I do think there is the potential for this to happen. And this is a big enough shout that you could get this at least in the Royal Albert Hall, probably in Wembley Arena.
Well, it'd be nice, yeah. So I can see the appeal there, AEW to come over. They want to put on a main event. And let's face it, the only guy who can add to AEW's roster is, of course, the one and only is Will Ospreay. There is, as much as there are some fantastic British wrestlers out there who could out-wrestle 95% of the AEW roster most days of the week, they're not as big names.
No.
Whereas Will Ospreay, of course, he is the number one wrestler, according to match ratings, if you like, other than Shingo Takagi. And
he's certainly the number one wrestler according to himself.
Definitely according to himself. And as you say, yeah, they do exchange some heated words over Twitter, which led to fans then exchanging heated words as well. Typical. But my honest opinion is, if you look at it like for like, Will Ospreay is further along in his career than Kenny Omega was at this point in Kenny Omega's career. He's the better wrestler than Kenny Omega was in this point of his career. And he's still going to probably achieve more.
I don't think I can argue with that.
I mean, there's no doubt you can't deny what Kenny Omega has achieved, what he did achieve in New Japan. But I don't know. It's also, if you look at the way the two carry themselves as champions, Will Ospreay just carries himself like a champion. Kenny Omega, it's a very weird.
Kenny Omega depends on which day of the week it is. Will Ospreay is consistent. I mean, he's consistently an arse, but he is consistent. And that is something that puts him slightly ahead of Kenny as far as that goes. I think that Kenny Omega currently does deserve to be higher on the PWI top 500. He has had more championship matches as far as the kayfabe aspect of it goes. He has had more matches overall, and at the moment, he's had more 5-star matches. I think he does rank higher, but I do think that's going to change next year.
Oh yeah, and yeah, come on AEW, give us the UK fans here something to go for. We want Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega in the UK. Of course, he's not the only opponent that could come up, because of course there is CM Punk as well.
There is, and CM Punk and Will Ospreay have also exchanged words before, and CM Punk has expressed an interest in wrestling Will Ospreay, so that's more than Omega has.
Yeah, but I like it. Should be a great match whenever it does happen. I assume it will happen next year. I don't see it will happen before the end of this year. If you were going to counter book it, you'd surely book it WrestleMania weekend, wouldn't you?
No, I wouldn't, because I want to do it in the UK and I want to get as many eyes on it as possible. If you think TNA used to sell out Wembley Arena. They used to be able to do that. Now, you imagine what AEW could do with their current lineup. The fact that they're already overtaking WWE as far as viewing goes in the UK. I really genuinely think that they could pull off some massive shows in the UK.
I think you're 100% right, and we of course look forward to it. Let us know out there who you think would win in a match between Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. Let us know who you think is the true wrestler of the year. So TNT Extreme Wrestling have announced Extreme Fields, which, as I said, is the UK's first independent indoor rock and wrestling extravaganza. This is going to take place on the 30th of October in one of Liverpool's most well-known venues, the Electric Club. And Mark Andrews' band is set to play.
Yeah, I saw the video for that and got very excited. And then I looked in my diary and realised that I'm DJing that night. I would genuinely have driven up to Liverpool for that one.
It should be a big one, because other than that, Kid Lycos is actually making his in-ring return to TNT Extreme Wrestling. He's been the general manager now for just over a year or so.
He has indeed. And when he was general manager, he didn't get involved in Kid Lycos' 2 matches, which was, well, not massively involved, not as much as he could have been involved.
No.
But some of the matches he didn't get involved.
No, but yeah, it sounds like it's going to be massive. It sounds like something WWE would have done in the 80s.
Indeed,
Rock and wrestling extravaganza.
And they kind of do, because they always have NXT going along to download. So they kind of do still keep with the music. However, now NXT is going rainbow this week. We shall wait and see.
Indeed. But Wrestle Carnival did it again.
They did.
They just
How exciting is the new announcements?
So very, very exciting. As soon as he was back in Europe, I was like, somebody's going to get into the UK. And I knew if anyone was going to do it, it would be Wrestle Carnival. So, I mean, I'm not that surprised at it. But
of course,
Francisco
we're talking
Akira
about
is heading to Wrestle Carnival for their end-of-year show, Carnival Mania, which is going to be in November.
It is indeed. Also announced, Zoe Lucas.
So I've been thinking about this. Who are my big matches for Francesco Akira there? Now, obviously, there's Chris Ridgway. I'm always gonna throw him out when we're talking about Wrestle Carnival. He's one of my favorites. Would be a great match. But Joe Lando would be a massive shout if I was gonna have my top 3 dream opponents for Francisco Akira in Wrestle Carnival.
Yeah, I've got another one that I quite fancy.
Is that Danny Black?
It's not.
No. Ooh, who are you going for then?
The British Kaiju, Warren Banks.
Yeah, I just think heavyweight, junior heavyweight.
He moves like a junior heavyweight, and he would be able to spot Akira amazingly.
He'd be able to overpower him, but I'm not sure he'd be able to keep up with the fleet-footedness and the agility of Akira. We are talking about one of the preeminent high flyers in Europe, in the world, and he is a former AJPW junior heavyweight champion. He's no slouch, but I see where you're coming from, but I think I would keep it to mainly juniors if I was going to do it. So Lando, Ridgway, Black would be my...
Callum Newman then.
Or Callum Newman would definitely be a choice opponent for him as well.
I want to say Wrestle Carnival, let's be honest here, they've had 2 shows so far. The second show's been today.
Yeah.
They've got another couple of shows booked. A company that has come pretty much out of nowhere is nudging the top 3 independents in the UK. How amazing have Wrestle Carnival done with their promos, with their lineups, with everything straight off the bat?
Gary Ward is a fan. He's an astute fan of wrestling. When I had him on for the interview way back, he relaxed home from, booking wrestling to go and play one of these fantasy simulator games. He is a pure student of the game. And although, yes, they've only been active, the idea was first thought of in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Gary had been with a wrestling photographer for quite some time.
Yeah.
He then worked social media for Southside Wrestling Entertainment before going in a partnership with WrestleGate. And then obviously he then went and created Wrestle Carnival. And yeah, he's an awesome guy. And as I say, somebody who loves wrestling. And as you say, big shows, big announcements, big TV deals now, big streaming deals, huge ROH deals. Easily, as you could say, could rival the top promotions such as Progress, Rev Pro, ICW, the Irish promotion, and
TNT. Maybe
a couple of others, TNT Extreme as well, wrestling. So I think as great as this year's been for them, I really would like to see where they're going to go to next year as they continue to build in week with more amazing announcements. And
do follow their Patreon. Do get involved with that. It's only £4 a month, and you'll get all of their on demand for free. Well, for £4 a month.
Somebody who I'd like to see, well, actually 2 people I'd like to see in Wrestle Carnival. One is Chris Brooks. The other is Konosuke Takashita, the DDT Openweight champion, as Chris Brooks is set to challenge Konosuke for the DDT Openweight Championship at the 29th of October show at Hurricane Hall. And I don't know if you've ever seen Takashi, easily one of the best wrestlers in the world today. I'm pretty sure he was in the PWI top 10. I might be wrong. No. I think he was top 20. He's been, phenomenal. He's made a couple of AEW Dark appearances, but phenomenal drop kicks, suplexes, just an all-around great wrestler. And Chris Brooks is a 2-time DDT champion, so this is a chance to win it for a 3rd time and finish the year strong as the champion of the promotion, maybe.
Fingers crossed for him.
Indeed. The ICW Heavyweight Championship has been vacated.
Yeah. I think this sucks, to be honest with you. I think that WWE could easily have let Noam Dar go to lose this belt.
Yeah, 100%. And it does seem a strange decision not to do so. Although it's not the first time, because obviously I did so with Jenny dropping the Progress Women's title earlier. Yeah. And of course,
sorry, go on.
Charles Samuels was going to be the number one contender for Noam Dar's title, and then they ended up on NXT UK as friends together.
They were, but during ICW this week, Kez Evans was calling out Noam Dar and threatening to come down to the Performance Centre.
I do love Kez Evans. I do.
Everybody sort of loves Kez Evans. So yeah, it's been relinquished.
Yeah. So they're going to have 2 fatal 4-way matches to then announce 2 winners to face off against each other at Fear and Loathing. So, have you been watching it? Yeah.
I hadn't seen this on Twitter. I have watched ICW today because I watched the absolutely amazing, phenomenal 60-minute match, which we will get onto in a little bit. But I can see that you have written down for me the first 4 that are going to be in this fatal 4-way.
Yes.
They are BT Gunn versus Kez Evans versus DCT versus Jason Reed. Oh, that's not an easy one to see who's going through.
No, it's a tough one.
Well, storyline-wise, BT Gunn and Jason Reed will cancel each other out.
Yeah, so I was thinking it comes down to DCT and Kez Evans. You've got Kez Evans as the 0G champion at the moment, but I don't think he's the top heel. For me, he should be the guy right now.
I agree with you. And
but they put the 0G championship on him for a reason, and that was because they needed a champion. And I feel like they will need to do so again here.
I think they've lined up Daz Black very well to take over the 0G championship.
Yeah, and there's a load of great Luke Cairo as well. He's going to some great 0G contenders. So I think, yeah, as you say, Adam Maxted could be a good shout, though.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. That's a good shout. I like that. Right, I will get on some more about ICW when I do the review on them, and I shall tell you a little bit more then. But for now, let's have a look at Rev Pro UK high stakes title matches.
Yeah, so Rev Pro High Stakes is their biggest show of the year. It is next week. There are 3 huge title matches, starting off with Aussie Open and Destination Everywhere.
That is an exciting matchup because I finally watched Young Guns versus Aussie Open.
How good was that tag match?
You hadn't over-egged the pudding. It was rather special. Absolutely phenomenal, to be honest. And their finishing move, the fidget spinner, when they hit that, oh my God, I didn't think anyone was going to get up from it. Also, Fletcher's spinning slam. That was, again, a thing of absolute beauty. Okay, I will put my hands up and say this is probably the best tag match I've seen this year.
Yeah, still ranks up that way for me. Definitely just phenomenal. I don't think it gets talked about enough because it's not happened on a big enough stage. I know I watched the recent cage match with the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks, and it was not as good as this tag team match.
I agree because it relied too much on gimmicks, whereas this match was wrestling.
Yeah, and just the slaps Ethan Allen gave out during and the slaps he took.
Yeah,
a brutal match, and just had that brutality of Walter and Ilya, but in a tag team. And as I say, when you look at the 2 teams, you just see it's almost as if Young Guns is Aussie Open's past and Aussie Open is the Young Guns' future. Phenomenal. Just
it really was match. As good as you said. It really, really was. RKJ's promo with Will Ospreay ahead of their championship match. They didn't hold back, did they?
They did not.
I had one problem with this. RKJ put his hands on Ospreay repeatedly, and Ospreay didn't retaliate. Now, I didn't like that personally, because I've got a feeling that if I was Will Ospreay with the way that he generally is and speaks, and someone kept touching my face like that, hell, if someone kept touching my face like that anyway, they wouldn't still be standing.
Yeah, I think obviously Will did very well to keep himself very composed. But this is what I was talking about, carrying himself. When he delivered his lines, if you like, in the ring, he commanded that ring. He
owned the crowd.
He commanded the audience. It was so great. And he, just like when they started to cheer him because they didn't want to cheer RKJ, and he was like, "Don't cheer me, you were booing me 30 minutes ago." And it was just so great. And then obviously he did challenge CM Punk. Then RKJ called out CM Punk. He had I did some research back into this, right? When was the last time you think somebody non-NJPW affiliated held the Rev Pro UK title?
Bearing in mind the global pandemic, I'm going to go 2018.
Nope. 2013. There hasn't been the last time it was the title was held by somebody who wasn't under contract by an NJPW, apart from maybe Marty Scott. I'll have to double check to see if he was affiliated at the time. But it was Shaw Samuels when it was IPW, not even Rev Pro.
Jeez, that's some good research, my friend.
Ishii and Tanahashi's AJ Styles, but
so where does that leave RKJ?
Yeah, because this is going to be my leading question. Will they pull the trigger
and have a non-New Japan heavyweight champion? Ooh, or is RKJ signing New Japan?
Well, the way the RKJ is always toured, he's never shied away by saying he wants to make the British scene the best scene. He doesn't want to go to the States. He doesn't want to go to Japan. He wants to make the UK the hub for wrestling. And I admire that, and I love that.
But everybody loves money.
Yeah. So I would like to see Rev Pro pull the trigger and put the title on RKJ. I would then possibly like, because I know Will Ospreay always wanted to create an IWGP British title, but I think by taking the title away from him, we can then they can create their own IWGP. Rev Pro can maybe separate themselves a little bit.
I think that RKJ deserves it, and I think it would be a very exciting thing. But please tell us what you think out there. Is it time for RKJ?
Because the other issue is Will Ospreay on just too much of another level, as he says?
No.
Okay. And then of course the final match of the final championship match on the Rev Pro UK high stakes cards is a 2 out of 3 falls match between Hyan and Giselle Shaw. Yeah,
this should be rather exciting. Having seen these ladies live, I cannot wait to see this, and my betting is on Giselle Shaw.
Yeah, Giselle Shaw to retain. I do know Hyan is on her way back to the States not long after the match. So the assumption is obviously she'll head back to the States, and Giselle Shaw, of course, Rev Pro wouldn't be shy to give her the title and have her go to the States and defend the title.
They also, let's be honest here, have got Aussie Open flying back and forth, and The US is a lot closer than Australia.
It is. But how much longer will it remain open for?
This we will have to wait and see.
Well, Australia have gone right into lockdown again, haven't they?
Maybe that's why they're still here.
Yes, probably. Yeah, I think we'll get on to some reviews for the week.
Yeah, sure.
I'll kick things off by continuing on about RevPro UK, which was RevPro UK Opportunity Knocks 2021. This was in Sheffield. It was the afternoon show. It started off with two big beefy dudes, Screwface Ahmed and Yota Tsuji, in a big beefy battle in which Screwface Ahmed eventually came out on top thanks to some underhanded tactics by Gideon Gray.
Oh, really?
Oh, indeed. I honestly, I couldn't believe it when Gideon Gray got himself involved.
It's very unlike
unlike him.
I think I predicted that one.
I think I think I did. No, I'm pretty sure I did. I haven't got my notebook, so I'll have to check this next week. I don't have I forgot to bring the notebook with me. That I know.
So this basically means the 1 week that I stand half a chance of getting some right.
Yeah. Then it was a cruiserweight match next as Robbie X took on Chris Ridgway, and Robbie X came out on top.
Ooh.
It caught me by surprise, that one. But it was a really good match. Solid work between both people again. Very similar to the match they had a little while back where Chris Ridgway dominated most of the match. And then Robbie X got a little lucky, hits the explanation point and gets the win. Giselle Shaw then defeated Sean Jackson of Two Extremely Athletic Men. It was a fun match for the crowd to really get behind. Carl Fletcher and Callum Newman then beat the crap out of each other. And that was a really, really good match. Mark Haskins then defeated Adam Maxted. Hyan defeated Hannah Taylor. And then in the main event, Destination Everywhere defeated Lycos Gym to retain the RevPro UK Tag Team Championships. As I say, that Carl Fletcher versus Callum Newman was absolutely fantastic. The crowd were really, really into it. And they jumped into chairs a lot.
I'll have to give that one a watch because I do love Callum Newman.
And yeah, the opening match as well. Yota Tsuji making his first appearance. Big boy. Great match he had against Screwface on. Very technical as well as nice bit of power. So a really good match. And then Mark Haskins versus Adam Maxted again. Really good match overall. I would have given this one at least 3.5 sugars.
Sweet.
NXT UK, my friend.
NXT UK, we started off with Wolfgang versus Sam Gradwell, you deep fried yogurt.
Just for the Americans out there, Scotland deep fry everything. They deep fried a Mars bar, for God's sake. So that's what
Cadbury's cream egg even.
Yeah, there we go.
Round one, I absolutely loved the shouting in the ear by Gradwell trying to wind up Wolfgang. It was brilliant. Round two, Gradwell had a rib injury, Wolfgang had a shoulder injury, and they kept just battering each other. Round three, Gradwell hits a running rock bottom for the 1, 2, 3, and we have our first fall of the match. Wolfgang then slams Gradwell during round four for the 1, 2, 3, and it's 1-1. Round five, 2 miss, 1 speak. 1, 2, 3. He went for 3 spears, but only hit the 1, but it only took the 1. And this was Wolfgang spearing Sam Gradwell straight out of its boots. Wolfgang, 1, 2, 3. And that is 2-1 to Wolfgang.
Really like that finish.
Yeah, you enjoyed that, did you?
Really like the finish, the missing of the spears and then hitting that third and final one.
Yeah. What did you think of the match overall?
Good.
I think it's one of Gradwell's best matches. I really do.
Yeah, Gradwell's always impressive. We just need him to see him get a run of wins.
Oh, that's all right. We'll get to how that can happen in a minute. Skid Scala came out next and suspended Blair Davenport. That's fine. That means she can just batter him on her own time.
Yeah.
Go Blair. Noam Dar promo on Kenny Williams, followed by a Kenny Williams promo on Noam Dar. Both good promos, two guys that know each other very well. They will have a great match.
Dar's turning face.
They are definitely turning Dar face. There's no two ways about it.
Told you.
Yeah, and it shows how strong a heel Kenny is. To turn somebody so bloody annoying in his promos to being a face. We then had Saxon Huxley, Oliver Smith, Oliver Carter, and Ashton Smith. Why do we always do that? We always do that versus Symbiosis. T-Bone looked fantastic in this match. This was the best I've seen Tyson T-Bone look out of anything. He was throwing massive suplexes left, right, and centre. I thought he did really, really well. Ashton Smith got a beautiful close kick to the head to the pin on Primate, and that was very close. It looked vicious. Smith and Carter hit a variation of the heart attack, sort of off the shoulder cutter.
Oh yeah, it was like an electric chair cutter.
Yeah, for the 1, 2, 3, and Huxley, Smith, and Carter won.
I know. Yeah, first Huxley wins. Now Smith and Carter win. Big's flying.
You're right. I think you're wrong about Tearman.
I think it might be.
Yeah. We then had a promo from Stevie Tyler, who was explaining how people are only on 2 dimensions, not 4. And Amelia McKenzie interrupted because she is becoming annoying as hell.
Yeah.
I hope Stevie Tyler gets the win. And I'm worried that she won't.
You're confusing her name. It's Stevie Turner. It used to be Stevie Bobby Turner. Tyler.
That's why I'm getting confused. I'm combining 2 names. I'm combining the dead name. I'm sorry. Then Pretty Deadly cut a promo on not being scared of Gallus. And it's very easy not to be scared of Gallus when you're not in the same room.
Yes. Should be a good tag team match. Hopefully Pretty Deadly come out on top.
I agree, and I agree. We then had Dragonov versus Walter, a rematch for the people that didn't have the pay-per-view, because obviously you wouldn't have the pay-per-view unless you have the network, and I guess there are some people that watch it on BT Sport and not the network that may not have seen it.
Yes, with added commentary from WWE superstars.
Now, I'm going to be brutally honest, I didn't bother watching it because I've already watched the match, and I have got a lot of other wrestling to watch.
Yeah, I was the same,
It was a good match.
Really? Yeah, super.
Yeah.
I still thought the first match was better than the second match.
I agree with you, and Stephen Southern's wrong.
Yeah, I have heard a few different schools of thought on it, but I know we're not the only people who felt that way. Progress Wrestling Chapter 1, 2, 1.
Slow down. What's your sugars?
Ooh.
You got to remember, there was a very special match.
I'm going to give it 3.5.
I'm giving it 4 because I've got to count the Dragonov Walter match, which was a 4. I've got to count the fact that I love Sam Gradwell.
Okay, yeah, I get where you're coming
from. I'm going 4.
4 sugars, yeah, why not? Good first match. Actually, you know what? Because Symbiosis and, because Ashton Smith and Oliver Carter won a match, I'm going to give it 4.5 sugars.
Hey!
Right out there.
Fair play to you.
Okay, so I watched Progress Wrestling Chapter 121. In 20 years, this will all be orange. Opened up with Doug Williams against Danny Black. Really technical match, as you'd expect. Doug Williams used his weight and his size advantage throughout and was able to pick up the win. As I say, really, you could see how small Danny Black is sometimes because, Doug Williams' leg was almost the size of when he was trying to pick up one leg just to make the covers. Sunshine Machine then beat Charles Crowley and Elijah in a tag team match. A really good tag team match.
Boom!
Luke Jacobs then defeated Spike Trevay via disqualification once again. But a solid match prior to all this, and it was a big shot to the nuts from Spike to Jacobs. So that's going to continue.
Hey, and that's Cockney rhyming slang, that is, you Jacobs.
And Giselle Shaw took on Alexis Falcon in a match that she defeated Alexis Falcon to retain the Progress Women's Championship. I just missed the biggest one of all. The Smoking Aces, Charlie Sterling and Nick Riley defeated Lycos Jim to become the new Progress Tag Team Champions in a phenomenal match that saw Lycos Jim try every dirty trick in the book, but they just couldn't get the job done. And Charlie Sterling and Nick Riley had a really good match, and definitely. And then it was an Iron Man match in the main event, a 30-minute one though, between Chris Ridgway and Cara Noir, in which it ended 3-3.
3-3.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see where they kind of go from there. They're beginning to get used to now moving on to a weekly show rather than previous 2 weeks. So we're seeing more linear storylines start to evolve now as well. Overall, some really good wrestling. 3.5 sugars.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Although, sad to see Lycos Jim drop the belts.
Yeah, definitely. They've been a fantastic team. They've been done a great job as champions, and but I'm looking forward to this Sterling and Nick Riley reign. Ever since they arrived, they have been putting on some really, really good matches for Progress, and I think they deserve this title run.
Now, I actually feel sad that you haven't seen ICW yet. I am going to tell you that this has been the best ICW show I've seen so far. And I'm going to tell you that you need to watch this. I know that time is always challenging with the amount of wrestling we get to watch, and we're very lucky to get to watch so much. However, you would have absolutely lost yourself in the 60-minute match. But the rest of the card was good. We started off with Crowbar versus Grant Mciver of the Manifesto. Crowbar absolutely batters him to begin with, proper smash mouth wrestling. Mciver fought back with a chair. Crowbar got his arm badly injured and was fighting with one hand the whole way through. He did a beautiful one-armed flapjack, which was just great. In the end, he wrapped his belt from his trousers around Mciver's mouth and curb stomped him onto a chair. So, bit vicious, not going to argue, but to watch a one-armed man wrestling, he did fantastic. It was great. We then had Sweeney and Levi versus the Lads. This is all over Chris Toll's debt. And the storyline's still going. Levi did it virtually as a 2-on-1 for 10 minutes, and in comes Sweeney to just batter everybody, slams both lads, pins both of them at the same time. This did nothing for the lads. Levi came out looking quite good, and it kept the storyline going, which it really doesn't. But that's fine, because we then Dar and offering to head down to the Performance Centre and batter him there and take the belt. Angel Hayes versus Casey of the She-Wolves was next. Great 50-50 match. Angel won it with a super kick into a face-first plant in a type of mid-level Hurricane Rana. It was really great move to see her do. Can't really explain it very well. And of course, after one of the She-Wolves loses, what happens?
Beat down.
Came up leading a tag match of Rio and Angel Hayes versus Casey and Molly Spartan, the She-Wolves.
Cool.
We then went to the 60-minute False Count Anywhere Iron Man match. Now, if I was to compare this to another match, I would compare it to, do you remember the Boiler Room Brawl with Mankind and The Undertaker?
Oh, God, yeah, that's old.
Combine that with the empty arena match that they had at half-time with The Rock and Mankind, and now you're getting the idea. The first 20 minutes was in the ring, and it was fantastic. We had a beautiful sunset flip by Leighton Buzzard, and then he had his feet on the ropes to get the first fall of the 60 minutes. We then had a running power bomb into a captain on deck by Leighton Buzzard to make it 2-0 after just 15 minutes. 20 minutes in, and Andy Wilde in the middle of the ring manages to land a sit-out power bomb, making it 2-1. Then all hell broke loose. They went outside and they were brawling in the stands, they were brawling in the corridors, they were brawling in the toilets, they were brawling in the showers, they went everywhere. There happened to be a ladder set up for a photographer to be able to use. Off a ladder through a table at 40 minutes, and it was a huge spot. And then they went back to the ring, and this is what I liked. They didn't just rely on hardcore fighting outside of the ring. They went back into the ring afterwards, and nobody bled. Not for a single point throughout this match. It was hard hitting, it was big shots, but it wasn't over the top and it wasn't bleeding. 50 minutes, we had a top rope suplex from Andy Wilde, bringing it back to 2-2. It all got very exciting. 10 minutes to go. There was a great combination of everyone putting on Scorpion Deathlocks, Death Valley drivers, everyone trying, getting the 1, the 2, the 1, the 2. It was fantastic. And then with 1 minute to go, on the top rope, Andy Wilde got knocked off the top and he fell through a table at ringside. And down goes Leighton Buzzard for the 1, 2, 3, with 3 seconds to go. And there we go. Leighton Buzzard wins 3 falls to 2. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant match.
Sounds it. As I say, I'm a big fan of Buzzard. It's another guy that I could possibly see him throwing him the title on, but he could be somebody again in that X division, not 0G division right now, who could run with that title while you give Kez the main one. So yeah. No, I can see that as well. And to be honest with you, I can see him going even further than that. He has got huge potential. He really has. So yeah, overall, I would give ICW this week 5 sugars. Wow, there you have it, folks. I don't think we've ever given a 5 sugar show. Not even when it was that really, really good Progress show did I not give it 5 sugars.
I think I gave one of the NXT's 5 sugars once, the one that had the first Walter versus Dragonov.
Possibly. Who knows?
I think I did.
All right, before we sign off, let's just go have a look around some choice promotions across the UK and find out what is going on around the scene. There's another new company.
Indeed, there is.
Creation Pro Wrestling, based out in Cardiff, Wales. And their first show is going to take place next year on the 4th of February at the Angel Hotel in Cardiff. Tickets go on sale on the 7th of October. And out so far are Lycos Jim, Lee Hunter, Clementine, and Joe Lando.
Wrestle Island. The island finally makes their return on the 19th of September at St Anne's Parish in Birkenhead. Slay All Day and Lucia Lee versus Harley Hudson and Lucy Sky and a mystery partner. We have Charlie Brennan, Chocolate Thunder and James Reed versus Drill, Kyle Kingsley and David Grant. Carlos Zamora versus Lance Rivera versus Connor Klein versus Terry Izzet. We then have Hustle Malone versus Sean Only. Scott Oberman versus Ethan Kelly. RP Davies is going to have an open challenge, and then we will have the Power Up Briefcase #1 contenders match, and that will be Jake Elsham versus Alex Falcon versus and finally the Wrestle Island Championship match of Dan Evans versus Warren Banks.
Yeah, solid card top to bottom, some really fantastic names there, both young and some of the guys that are really coming up and making waves right now. Warren Banks, Cheek Elsham, Cameron Solas, Scott Oberman, Harley Hudson. There's a lot of talent there, so definitely a show to go check out if you're in the Birkenhead area. Odyssey Pro Wrestling, OPW, have joined Howard 4 TV. Their debut show, Set Sail, is now available to watch right now. Their next show, Stormy Waters, is set for the 16th of October in Morecambe. It will see the start of the Odyssey Championship tournament. Entrants so far are Ryan Hunter, RP Davies, Rick Marcus, Sandy Beach, and Anderson Daniels. Plus a tag team match of Sexy Kev and Mark Meltzer versus Freak Show, Will Carter and Nightmare with Isaiah Quinn, as well as another tag team match with Lizzie Evo and Tonga versus Gia Adams and Alexis Falcon.
Ignite Pro Wrestling have announced a huge triple threat main event for their return, New Dawn in Boreham Wood on the 24th of October. Gene Money versus Warren Banks versus Dexter. That is going to be great. Previously announced Charles Crowley and Forrest Hayes, Tommy Kyle and CJ Carter, who I saw wrestling last week and is fantastic. Definitely recommend watching him.
Indeed. British Wrestling Revolution, BWR, are back with Underground 8 on the 1st of October. Previously announced was Will Cruz to defend his newly won Underground Championship against Ethan Allen. Several more matches have now been added to the card, including a BWR Heavyweight Championship match, Robbie X versus Nathan Cruz, a Callum Newman versus Matt Myers, the tag team #1 contenders final, Reese Ryan and Man Like DeReese versus Team Hench of Powerhouse Blake and Big Guns Joe, and Ricky Knight Jr. versus Scotty Rourke.
Nice. TNT Extreme Wrestling. More matches have been added to the TNT Extreme Wrestling when they are back on the 25th of September with Thrill Kill and on the 26th with TNT Ignition Level Up. We have announced for Thrill Kill Kings of the North Open Challenge, Dan Maloney versus Chris Ridgway. That's going to be brilliant. Alexis Falcon versus Kia Chimera. Previously announced She-Wolves versus Lana Austin and Rio. Deathmatch Martina versus Clint Margera for the TNT Extreme Division match. That is going to be brilliant. Level Up, Chase Martini versus Visage in a chairs match. 20-minute Level Up briefcase scramble with LK Messenger versus Nico Angelo versus Gene Money versus Tom Thelwell versus Sandy Beach versus JJ Webb. I'm losing my breath. The final entrant of the match will be decided in the Ignition Dark match with Leon Gray versus Ryan Thorne. Brian Simon Miller, Big Guns Joe versus Shreddy and Synergy, Troy Ryan and Anderson Daniels. That's going to be a hell of a dark match as well. They do give good dark matches and good options for when you get your tickets for TNT. They really do. Previously announced for that also is versus Tonga, MVK Valvacious versus Isaac North, and Scott Oberman versus Sonna Durson versus Cameron Solis.
Sorry, I lost you a bit there. So it was previously announced Gia Adams versus Tonga, MVK Valcabius versus Isaac North, and Scott Oberman versus Sonna Durson versus Cameron Solis for the Ignition Championship. And that's going to be one hell of a match. I'm a big fan of all three guys. Catch Pro Wrestling have announced the Enigma Series, a 4-day series to crown the Catchweight Allen Curlin Championship. The tournament will have 2 blocks of 4, each block with the winner, with each block facing off against each other in a round-robin tournament, with the winners of each block facing off against each other in the finals. Day 1 is on the 11th of October. Day 2 is on the 25th of October. Day 3 on the 8th of November. And the final on the 20th of November. So far, Tom Thelwell and Joe Kessler have been announced for Block A, and Scotty Rourke and Tynan have been announced for Block B.
Right, Superstar Pro Wrestling have announced their next show up in Liverpool, and I'm just going to have to do something for this. Atmosphere. You'll get that if you're a certain age. If you don't, you won't. Superstar Pro have announced Atmosphere. This is going to be on the 2nd of October, and my wife is laughing in the background. Isaac North, Harley Hudson, RP Davis, Ethan Kelly, Connor Klein, Brian Aidenson, Tommy Jackson and Rick Marcus are all set to appear. So that is a pretty stacked card.
It's an absolutely stacked card. And yeah, some fantastic young performers once again. UKPW have announced all the competitors for their women's tournament to crown the first ever UKPW women's champion. So you've got Clementine, Evie Madden, Livy Grace, Kimmy Ekis, Ava White, Jade, Kyra Chimera, and Buddy Marlowe. And this will all kick off on the 18th of September at their press start show, which is at the Medway Lordswood Leisure Centre. And the two matches are Kimmy Ekis versus Livy Grace and Eva Madden versus Clementine. You've also got Danny Black versus Ashmore, Two Good Eggs versus The Business, Alexander Roth versus Tommy Kyle, and Mr. Charles Crowley versus Mike Bird.
Jurassic Pro Wrestling. Now, I mentioned them last week, but I gave the wrong place because I am a bad man. Jurassic Pro Wrestling are based in Harwich in Essex. That's Harwich, which is slightly further away from where I said. So please remember, if you're in the Harwich area, look up Jurassic Pro Wrestling. They're just starting up and they are going to have some great shows for you.
Indeed, some fantastic talent lined up once again. Just before we move on, so unfortunately, due to obviously no fault of our own, we unfortunately lost our commentary gig. We were set to be doing commentary for a new promotion, Fight for Honor. Unfortunately, the promotion is no longer going ahead, which is a shame, but you know, it is what it is. We rise above it. We're happy. And we're going to throw our names out there. We've already done it on Twitter. We're going to do it right here, right now, and to say, look, if you're interested in people to do commentary, backstage interviews, ring announcing, well, we're more than happy to do so. And we may have a few irons in the fire already, but we'll have to let you know how things get on. And next Sunday, I'm going to be at the WWE.
Are you?
Yes, in Newcastle. I can't remember the arena at the moment, but yes, WWE Smackdown Live Tour. So next Sunday, I will be going to my first ever WWE show. So it's going to be nice to see how that compares to why people don't spend the same amount of money for UK wrestling.
Now, I look forward to having a discussion with you about that next week because I've attended a Smackdown at the O2. So I shall really enjoy chatting with you about that next week. So I know what my opinion is, and I'm not going to comment ahead of you going to see yours.
No, I look forward to it. And yeah, we'll chat about that. So next week's episode will be out late again. We'll probably record it on the Monday. We'll release Tuesday. With that said, I need to get to bed. So we have been two grown men drinking tea, talking about grown adults, wrestling in nights. Have a great day, have a great night. And remember, folks, don't feed the trolls.